Hey friends, it's Laurie. Let's go make something. I'm starting my first project today by using some recycled wood that I cut into long, skinny triangles. I'm going to make these into carrots, and I have them cut at 10, 8, and 6 inches in length. Because I'm using recycled wood, I'm using my sandpaper to smooth down any of the rough edges. Now that all my carrots are sanded down, I'm going to be using this orange acrylic paint that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm giving each one of them 2 coats. Once all 3 of my carrots have dried, I then drilled a small hole in the top of each of them. You can always do this before you paint them, it's just personal preference, and I did it after. I'm decorating my carrots using some white acrylic paint. I'm adding some dots to my carrots by using the end of my paintbrush. All I'm doing is dipping the end of my paintbrush into my white paint, and I'm randomly adding the dots to my carrots. For my larger carrot, I'm going to be adding on some stripes, and I'm just going to kind of mark them out with my ruler and my pencil. I'm definitely not making them perfect, I'm just moving my ruler and marking some lines. Once I'm done, I'm following along the lines with my white acrylic paint, and honestly, these are not perfect. I'm just kind of going along and just marking my lines. After my white paint dried, I'm going to change them up so they look a little more rustic, and I'm just going to use a piece of old sandpaper and give them all a good sanding. For some crazy reason, my camera did not film me adding the carrot tops, but all I did was use some of this leftover greenery. I already had it on hand, and I cut off a few pieces and I hot glued them into the holes that I had drilled onto the top. To finish up my rustic carrot project, all I'm doing is adding some Dollar Tree twine, and I'm giving each of them a bow accent. If you don't want to use twine, you can always add on a ribbon, and that would look super cute too. And with that, my recycled rustic carrots are complete. Today I'm participating in the Carrots Galore Hop, and we're giving away a $60 Amazon gift card. To enter, all you need to do is watch my video in full, leave me a comment, and then click on the link in my description box that will take you to the next person in the hop. The winner I will announce on my community page. I'm starting my spring Easter swag by using 2 of the Dollar Tree Easter trees. I removed both from the boxes, and they come with a little plastic end. I removed that, and then I just kind of fluffed up the branches. I'm using some floral wire to attach both ends of the trees together. I'm just wrapping the wire tightly around the metal supports, and then I'm twisting it into place. I kept adding my wire and twisting it on until I felt that the ends were bound tightly together. When I was done, and to give it a little extra support, I then added on some hot glue. These trees are so pretty and iridescent, but I just want to kind of cut that a bit, so I'm going to use my white acrylic paint. So using my paintbrush, I'm just adding some white paint here and there randomly on the 2 trees just to kind of tone it down a bit. I'm using an assortment of spring flowers. Most are from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using a few that I had on hand. I'm cutting the stems from the base, and I'm removing the leaves, and then I'm starting to hot glue my flowers into place. As I'm adding them, I like to balance both the left and the right. So what I try to do is whatever I'm hot gluing on one side, I try to hot glue the exact same thing on the other. And all I'm doing is continuing to add my hot glue and my flowers on one side and then the other. After I've added my flowers, I'm going to add in some greenery, and I'm using some of the leaves that I pulled off the flower stems. I'm using the leaves from my foxtails, but any of them will work great. Then once again, I'm using my hot glue gun and I'm just popping them into place. Once all my leaves are in place, I'm now going to use some of these Dollar Tree carrots. Of course, this is a carrot hop and I'm going to add them into my swag. If you'd like to make some no-sew fabric Dollar Tree carrots, make sure to come back after the hop and check out my 5 carrot video that I'll have linked below in my description. Now that I've added my carrots, I'm going to be adding in some of the sparkly Dollar Tree Easter eggs as an accent. I used my glue gun and I just added the eggs here and there, kind of filling in the open spots on my swag. I ended up using 1 package of the Dollar Tree eggs, but you can always use more or less. On the center of my swag, I'm adding a bow and I'm using this pretty Easter ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Using my bow maker, I made a 4-inch bow with 10-inch tails. I fluffed up my bow and I'm adding it to my swag by wrapping the wires around the center support. Now that my bow's secured in place, I want to fill in the void above it. To do that, I'm just adding in some extra flowers to fill in the open space. Once I finished adding in all my flowers, eggs, and especially my carrots, my spring Easter swag was complete. To make my country carrots, I'm using one of these box signs and some buffalo check fabric. I found both of these at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cover my box, so I'm placing it on the fabric and I'm making sure to cut out a large enough piece. I'm going to use my Mod Podge to attach my fabric to the box. I'm adding a generous amount and then I'm centering my fabric over the top. And then I'm just pushing down so that the fabric adheres to the box. Once it's set up, I'm adding some Mod Podge to the side and I'm folding my fabric over. I'm then doing the exact same thing to the other side. I'm going to add some Mod Podge to my other side, but this time I'm going to fold the fabric a little different. I'm going to fold both sides in and then the middle over, kind of like you would when you were wrapping a present. Once again, I'm doing the exact same thing to my last side, and when you're done, your box should be completely covered with the buffalo check fabric. I'm using some Dollar Tree clothespins to make some carrot accents. I'm using 8 of them and I'm pulling them all apart. I'm using my thick Starbond glue and I'm placing some on the flat side of my clothespin, and then I'm attaching the other flat side so that it kind of looks like a carrot. Starbond glue sets up in about a minute and it's my go-to glue for all my wood projects. I have the company link below in my description along with a coupon code in case you'd like to check it out. I'm painting all my clothespin carrots with my orange acrylic paint. Now that they're all dried, I'm going to be adding a raffia topping to each of them. I'm folding 1 or 2 pieces in half 2 or 3 times until I get a small enough piece to be the topping on my carrot. I tie it off with a shorter piece of raffia and then I give the whole bunch a good pinch. I attach the topper by placing a dot of hot glue on the end of my carrot. Then using my scissors, I give it a little haircut. After I finished my first one, I continued on and made toppers for all the rest. With all my clothespin carrots made, I'm now going to use some shamrock acrylic paint and paint the toppers. With all my carrots complete, I'm now going to attach them to my sign. I'm adding some hot glue onto the side of my carrot, and then I'm placing it at an angle on the top of my sign. And to match it up, I'm doing the exact same thing on the other side. I'm then adding 2 carrots onto the bottom and 1 on each side. I want to add some words to my sign, but I need something to attach them to, so I'm going to be using this extra large craft stick. I placed it against my top 2 carrots and kind of figured out about how big I wanted my sign, and then I cut it to size. Then, using my white acrylic paint, I gave it a complete coat. Now that it's dry, I want to add on the word country carrots. If you don't have a Cricut, a nice alternative is to go to Canva. It's a free site, and you can print out any words that you'd like. I will link Canva below in case you'd like to try it out. I cut the words to fit onto my wooden sign, and I'm using my Mod Podge to attach them together. I added some to my wooden sign and then attached my country carrots on top. When it had dried, I used my glue gun and attached it into place. I'm using one of these Dollar Tree bunnies as an accent for my sign. I removed the bow, and I'm using some of this pretty green and white Dollar Tree gingham ribbon to make him a new bow. I used my glue gun and attached it into place. I removed the bunny from the stick, and then I hot glued it onto my sign. To finish up, I used 3 of the Dollar Tree carrots to accent the front. And with that, my country carrot sign is complete. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed making these carrot projects with me. If you're new and you haven't yet subscribed and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.